Did gamers actually think that Pokemon Winds and Waves was going to come to Nintendo Switch 1? It seems to be that way based off a litany of comments I've seen on Nintendo's YouTube page about the game, in addition to Twitter, on my own comment section, and also on this post when it comes to why everyone loves Pokemon, a Twitter account that put up a meme discussing Pokemon Wind and Waves, or Gen 10, and it shows the classic meme of that's excited, and then he sees exactly what happened and it's revealed, and then it says exclusively on Nintendo Switch 2, and he's like, what? Like, what's going on here? So I quote tweeted that, and I asked that question. I said, did people really think Pokemon Winds and Waves was coming to the Switch 1? I don't recall people getting angry or upset when Pokemon X and Y made the leap from the DS and the 3DS, and people weren't. People were excited to see Pokemon in the next generation leap of hardware. People actually got upset that Pokemon Black and White 2 was for the Nintendo DS instead of the Nintendo 3DS. So there's some interesting significance between those two time periods a decade plus ago and now at this point. And I would say a lot of the things that people are saying about the Nintendo Switch 2, because I've actually done a lot of responding and talking to people on this, and I kind of get the gist of it. But at the end of the day, the reason why Pokemon Winds and Waves is coming to the Nintendo Switch 2 is a litany of reasons that we are going to break down completely here. But before we continue on, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2. All you have to do to enter is hit that subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed, and drop a comment below. We are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 once we hit 150,000 subscribers, and it will be random. So the more that you actually comment and interact, the better chance that you have to win. Hit that like button, click that notification bell, and let's go ahead and jump right back into it. First reason is the Nintendo Switch 2 offers a significantly better development and graphics experience. What has been one of the biggest weaknesses of Pokemon games? Performance and graphics. They need a bit more. Yes, they're not great at the optimization when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 1. We all know this. The Xenoblade team, you have multiple other developers, Nintendo, they've done a great job with a lot of the first-party bigger games. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Xenoblade Chronicles X, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Xenoblade Chronicles 3. There's a lot of games that look and run better than what the Pokemon games were on the Nintendo Switch 1. But with the Nintendo Switch 2, you get 10 times the graphics performance, according to NVIDIA. You get DLSS. You get VRR in handheld mode. You get all of these tools and these things that help you get a much better development atmosphere when you're not as talented as Monolith Soft or as the Legend of Zelda team or as the people that are making some of these games. When you haven't been developing HD games like a lot of those teams were on the Nintendo Wii U, and you started developing HD games on the Nintendo Switch 1, this Nintendo Switch 2 system is almost like a cheat code to catch up just a bit. Now, are they at the level of all of the biggest games out there with first party? Probably not. Or even Nintendo Switch 2 at this point? Probably not. But what they are is significantly better than where they were. And I can guarantee you that the Nintendo Switch 2 and having the overhead that it has with triple the amount of usable RAM and better quality, faster RAM, in addition to having much more memory bandwidth, having much more graphical processes to use, this is something that is probably a revolution for them. They said, okay, we can take what we want to do, and based on our level of being able to develop things, we can get it to look, run, and play like this. And it's significantly better than what we got with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and Pokemon Sword and Shield, in addition to Pokemon Legends ZA, Pokemon Legends Arceus. And yes, those games should have looked better. I'm not blaming the Nintendo Switch 1. I'm just saying for the expertise that Game Freak has on what they do, they probably felt that the Nintendo Switch 2 offers significantly better improvements to what they can do for a Pokemon game, to where they can get their game, not only have more time, but then also make it even look better. There's no point with the developer that struggled to be able to get optimization and timing down for their games. There's no point in trying to hamstring them or hold them back when they've already had issues with that same system. Let them focus all their time, development, and resources on this one platform so they can get it right and take their time. So it makes no sense to try to struggle with the Nintendo Switch 1 when you've had terrible results with that system when it comes to performance and when it comes to graphics. So let's talk about the next thing here. Nintendo Switch 1 will be 10 years old by the time that Pokemon Winds and Waves launches. The Nintendo Switch 1 came out in March of 2017. Pokemon Winds and Waves is coming out in 2027, and I'm guessing it's going to be a first quarter of 2027. I don't think they're going to go too far past the first quarter just so it can be on the books for Nintendo's fiscal year earnings results. I don't think it's going to be the fall. I think Nintendo's going to have another game or a different game for the fall. I think they're giving them the amount of time and space that they need in order to sell this game. But the Switch 1 will be 10 years old. The system is old. At this point, the specs are ancient. It's just something that they don't need to continue supporting with every single big game for the end of time. It's one of those things to where Nintendo even stated that they are going to be winding down Nintendo Switch 1 support, and they've supported, when it comes to cross-platform, better than they've ever supported in the past. We're still getting games on the Nintendo Switch 1 when it comes to Rhythm Heaven, in addition to Tomodachi Life, and they did Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, they did Pokemon Legends ZA, they had Nintendo Switch 1 titles, but you can't expect them to support this old platform for 10 years plus with brand new games, especially considering the power gap and jump between the Nintendo Switch 1 and the Nintendo Switch 2. It is to the point to where, yes, it is going to hamper, it is going to hinder the experience, especially with Game Freak and how they develop games. It's going to hinder the experience if you're trying to force them to make a Nintendo Switch 1 version of this game. It makes zero sense to support a system that will be 10 years old by the time that this game comes out. Now, if it was a smaller type of title that wasn't going to be an open world and as ambitious, then maybe I can understand that if it's like a Pokemon Cafe mix or something like that. But the last thing that we need is for them to be sitting there and saying, let's support 10-year-old systems and potentially have issues with delays or problems with that version of the game. The next thing up here is something that's kind of a thing for the Pokemon Company and Game Freak and Nintendo, is that they need to actually sell Nintendo Switch 2 systems. What is the best reason to buy a system when it comes to Nintendo? Exclusive content. That is the reason why people buy the Nintendo Switch 2. A lot of big hardcore first party fans. That's the reason why you bought the Game Boy. It's the reason why you bought the GBA. It's the reason why you bought the DS or the 3DS, to get your exclusive Pokemon game. Yes, you're gonna buy it, or some people are gonna buy it for third party titles. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, Resident Evil Requiem, Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflection, Pragmata, Digimon Story Time Stranger, Tales of Arise, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink Endless Ragnarok. There's all sorts of cool games coming out that I'm pretty sure people are going to buy Nintendo Switch for, to have that portable play plus the docked play. But at the end of the day, you got to make sure that you have those big first party games to sell the system, the exclusives. And that's what Pokemon has been for decades now. It has been one of the premier system sellers for every single platform that a main Pokemon game has come out for. None of those platforms have been a failure. Every single one that you see a main Pokemon game for, the Game Boy, the GBA, the Nintendo DS, the 3DS, the Nintendo Switch 1, and now the Nintendo Switch 2, they're going to make sure that it's successful. People buy the system for the game, and they don't want that to be any different here with Pokemon Winds and Waves. And I know Nintendo is absolutely going to use that, but they're taking the extra time to make sure that they get it right. Because if this is wrong, or if it's not as good, then you're not going to sell as many systems and people aren't going to be as enthusiastic about it. So Nintendo needs to sell these systems. They need to make sure that they increase the install base. And one of the best ways to increase the install base is to have great exclusive games that show and enhance the system's value. And that's what they're doing here with Pokemon Winds and Waves. That's what they did with Mario Kart World. That's what they did with Donkey Kong Bonanza. And that's what they're going to do with the new 3D Mario and the next big Legend of Zelda game and the next big Animal Crossing game and the next big Super Smash Bros. Game. All of those are also going to be exclusive to the Nintendo Switch 2. So it's one of those things to where, yeah, they're going to do it just like they did with the Nintendo Switch 1. They weren't putting games on the Wii U as well. They were putting games on the Nintendo Switch 1 because they wanted to sell the Nintendo Switch 1. So they had one cross-gen game because they promised it on the Wii U. Then outside of that, they stopped supporting it. So to me, it makes perfect sense that they would want to do this, and that's why they are. Now, another thing here is avoiding the PR mess that was Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Sword and Shield, and to a degree Legends Arceus, and once again to a degree Pokemon Legends ZA. All of these games had such bad PR when it comes to what people were saying about the graphics, about the performance, about what was happening in the game. The last thing that you want is to have that same thing. Now, yes, all of those games ultimately ended up selling really well. So it's not like, or more like, I don't think that the PR mess really hindered sales to like a really bad degree. I do think that it probably hindered it a bit when it comes to it, but the N64 tree stuff, the complete glitch videos that got hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views, where they had to issue an apology for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Yes, they needed better optimization, but with the Nintendo Switch 2, DLSS, VRR, and so many other aspects, significantly better RAM allocation, and I would say structure of how the system is built, is going to probably eliminate all of those PR nightmares that you had with the Nintendo Switch 1 with those games, because there is limited resources. And once again, you give a developer that is not as talented with limited resources, that is a recipe for disaster. Monolith Soft can do a lot more with a little bit, but they need a lot more time, and it's a very different style of game that they make. Game Freak is not that. So you can avoid all of this PR mess if you simply go with the system that offers triple the RAM, go with the system that offers better technology, go with the system that's going to make sure that it eliminates all of the PR mess that would have happened if you had to sit there and try to figure out a Nintendo Switch 1 version of this massive open world game. Doesn't make sense at all. Now, I have a couple things that I just want to say with this. Now, here's the thing, guys. For those that are still upset and feel it should still be on there, and I get it. Listen, economy, bad, issues with jobs, money, I completely get that. But I'll say this, you get one life and you got 1 year to lock in. The game is coming out in 2027. We are right now in 2026. It'll probably be about a year or so from now that this game does launch. So you've got 1 year to lock in and get it done. Whether that's removing the candy from your diet, removing the fast food every single month that you eat, not getting stuff that you know is junk that you waste some money on, or whatever the case is, selling some other things, trading in your Switch 1 because the Switch 2 is backwards compatible. Whatever that is, get that done, because Pokemon Winds and Waves looks like it's going to be an incredible game and probably one of the best Pokemon games at the start here in the HD era, if not the best. I think that the graphics performance of what this game is already showing has people incredibly excited. And if they can nail the gameplay like they nailed it in Pokemon Legends ZA, and like they nailed just the pure gameplay in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, this is going to be one of the best rated Pokemon games in a very long time. Well, since Pokemon Legends Arceus, that game has like a low 80s rating, but I can see it being better than that, because now it actually has the graphic performance, it actually has the other aspects of it. It takes some of the best things from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet when it comes to the open world, but without the problems when it comes to the performance and the graphics, and they're probably going to add some really cool different combat mechanics and other things in there. So you got 1 year, lock in, save up a bit, and get it done. And I do want to say another thing here. And I've seen a lot of people say that, oh, they're not going to buy the Nintendo Switch 2. And a lot of it is based off of nonsense. A lot of it is based off of grift-tuber stuff, misinformation that they heard about Nintendo's TOS or EULA, where they can remotely brick your system for doing absolutely nothing, and all this stuff that these people said on YouTube and all that, while they excluded that Microsoft, Sony, Valve, and pretty much anybody that releases like a console, when it comes to the big players, can also do the same thing and say the same thing in their TOS. If you hack or you glitch or you can potentially cheat people or do things, they absolutely are going to brick your system or trying to exclude you from going online or disable it if you pose a threat to their servers or to their player base. They all have that in there. And I saw people trying to make that argument, well, I'm not going to buy it because of this. And I responded, well, here's Sony's TOS. It says the exact same thing. Oh, well, everybody sucks these days. It's like you're just going off of grift. That's a lot of the problems that I see with people. They just believe whatever content creators that are just trying to make a quick buck are trying to say, without bringing up all the factors that everybody has that in there. And for the most part, from what I understand at least, is if you hack or if you do something like that, they're going to just disable you from going online. The system's still going to work when it comes to the Switch 2. So a lot of it is just based off of people watching YouTube videos. But I think that as more people pick up the system, as more different games come out and people want things, they're going to seek out what's actually the truth. They're going to seek out the real knowledge, and they're going to ask their friends if they get one, or they're going to ask other people online, and they're going to realize that it's going to be fine if you just buy your games. If you just play things normally, there's nothing to really worry about the Nintendo Switch 2 system. So I see a lot of these people that are saying they're not going to buy it. I see them buckling under the pressure and seeing everybody have fun and say, you know what, I am going to buy it, and go out there and pick up the game. So what do you guys think about everything that I had to say here when it comes to why Pokemon Winds and Waves is going to be a Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive? What do you think? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Pokemon RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.